My hometown of Valley Citie is presented by these fine sponsors: Dakota Rose Floral, Boomer's Corner Keg, Bocce Garden Shell, Dutton's Parlor, Stout Ross Ford, Town and Country Club.
Hi, and welcome to Valley Citie, North Dakota, where we are doing the My Hometown again. And this is Ladies of Another View. I'm back. We are joined with Wes Anderson, who is the curator of Barnes County Historical Society Museum. And what a place it is. Thanks for coming to the show today.
Oh, thanks for the invitation.
Can you tell us what exactly will we find at the museum?
Well, the museum is 90 years old. It is the oldest historical society in the state for county. And yeah, it's one of the largest. We're one of the few that's open year-round and has a paid person. And we have constantly changing exhibits. All kinds of neat things to see. We've had the Smithsonian there 3 times. We've actually got another exhibit coming from them, not next year, year after that. So.
Wow, Smithsonian 3 times.
Yes.
We're going to get into that, but tell me a little bit about Valley Citie's history. How did it begin?
Well, we're known as the City of 5 Names. Started out 1872 when the Northern Pacific Railroad came here. And it was called 2X Cheyenne, second crossing of the Cheyenne. It was the second time they crossed the Cheyenne River coming west from Fargo as they were building the Transcontinental Railway. And not much of a name. They called it fifth siding. A siding allows a train to park and unload passengers and freight without interrupting the traffic. And they placed towns about every 10 miles apart. So fifth siding was the 5th town coming west from Fargo. And again, not much of a name. They chose Wahpeton, which in the native language means place of many leaves. And Wahpeton, it's a fine name. It's very hard to pronounce and definitely to spell. And so there was a land agent from the Northern Pacific that came out and said, no, we can't have Wahpeton anymore. And we're going to choose Worthington. It's honorable, it's dignified, it rolls off the tongue really well. His name was Worthington as well. And, and it was okay to name, except for the post office told us we had to change it because Worthington, Minnesota was getting our mail. And so 1878, the people of Worthington, all 30 of them, got together and decided we are a city, we're in the valley, we'll be Valley Citie. And it continues a tradition of Norwegian literalism that goes on to this day. So, yeah.
I love it. It's practical and it's a great name.
It is,
Valley Citie,
it is. There's
yeah.
only 2 of us in the country. And ours was first. There's Valley Citie, Ohio. Their previous name was Rough Scrabble or Hard Scrabble. So,
okay.
yeah.
Well, yeah, 5 names into it. I'm glad they settled on Valley Citie.
It is. And then we're also the City of Bridges because we have 13 of them that cross the river. And of those, well, the largest one is certainly the Northern Pacific Railroad's Highline Bridge. Started out construction in 1906 and finished in 1908. It's one of the largest of its kind in the world, I believe. It's 3,860 feet long and 162 feet tall. And so it's in continual use ever since 1908. It's a major attraction. It looks a little like the Eiffel Tower laid on its side. It is
amazing. It is amazing to think that one of the largest railroad bridges in the world is in Valley Citie.
Yes, it's actually a national civil engineering landmark.
Wow.
We're quite proud of it.
And it's a beautiful bridge too.
It is very scenic.
Yeah.
And it adds to the beauty of the valley. We have the Marsh Arch Bridge, the Rainbow Bridge. It's over on Main Street. And that is the second one we've had. The original one was built in 1925. And over the years, it was too narrow, it was too close to the river, and it was decided it needed to be replaced. And well, for Valley Citie, it's a very important bridge for us, and we decided that can't just replace it with any ordinary bridge, we must have another rainbow bridge. And so in 2004, they replaced it with an exact replica, a little bit wider, a little bit taller, rainbow arch bridge. So that's an important feature for us. And let's see, we have the walk bridge going to Valley Citie State University campus. It's the only suspension bridge of its kind in the state. It was built back in 1901. And so it's very, very beautiful to look at. Scene of many proposals, I've been told, and so.
Yeah, wow. Yeah. Of course, because they're so pretty, you know. It seems like somebody put some thought into the building of these bridges so they would look attractive.
We've tried to maintain them. That one's also been restored. We have East and West City Park bridges, and we have another walk bridge over to City Park as well. So, yeah, we're proud of our bridges.
I want to find out why Smithsonian has been to Little Valley Citie 3 times. What's going on?
Well, it's part of the Museums on Main Street program, which brings Smithsonian exhibits to communities under 10,000. And this was in conjunction with the North Dakota Humanities Council. And so the first one was Produce for Victory. Was World War II on the home front. And the second one was Between Fences, and then the third one was Key Ingredients. There.
Okay.
Anyway, and and the next one is going to be How We Worked. And it's talking about looking at the last 150 years of work. And our component of the story is we are farmers. We live in a garden. And so it's gone from farming to agriculture to agribusiness all within 150 years. So horse and buggy horses, to steam tractors, to gasoline, to today the equipment being guided by satellites. So amazing changes in, a little over a lifetime. But
Yeah, remarkable, some of the changes even in our lifetime. What about, you have an amazing exhibit, Women at War, which is, tell us about that.
North Dakota Women at War. My assistant, Allison Vaselka, has taken on a huge project to research and document women of North Dakota who have either served directly in the military or indirectly in another role, such as Rosie the Riveters or Government Girls, and is documenting them with pictures, stories, phenomenal exhibit. It's the largest one of women's uniforms in the state right now. And so lots and lots of stories, lots of pictures. It's an amazing thing to finally get these women some proper recognition. Our oldest story goes back to the Civil War. She was a nurse and lived here in Valley Citie and passed away at the age of 103. So,
wow.
Yes, and World War I, World War II, Korea, Vietnam, all the way up to the modern age. She has all these stories and photos and uniforms of these ladies. It's an amazing exhibit. It's well worth a visit.
It is, something that I thought was a little interesting and unusual. You have an exhibit like with funeral things and mortuary. That's a little unusual.
Yeah,
it's done a good taste.
Well, thank you. As far as I know, it's the only one of its kind in the state. It does have mortuary science stuff with it, and a lot of morbid curiosity with it. We do have some post-mortem photographs in there as well. That was something that was done. The Victorians, if it was the only photo they had of their family member, or certainly the last one, and it's customs that we don't have them today. Let's say it that way. But there's a lot of interesting tools of the trade there from local morticians, and it's definitely a different exhibit.
Yeah, not something you see at every museum.
No.
What about Peggy Lee? I know that you have something about her in the museum. And not everybody knows who she is, but she's also in the State Rough Rider Hall of Fame too. So who is she?
Well, Peggy Lee is formerly Norma Eggstrom. She is from North Dakota. She was born in Jamestown back in 1920 and lived along the Midland Continental Railroad line. So between Nortonville, Jamestown, up to Wimbledon. Her father was a depot agent, and he took his family with. They lived up above the depots. And so they moved to Wimbledon in 1934, and she would catch rides between Wimbledon and Valley Citie to sing over KOVC. So KOVC started up in 1936, and they found this little blonde girl with a remarkable voice, and she started singing professionally here in Valley Citie. And from here, she went on to Fargo, and from there, she started singing with Benny Goodman and Fame. And so it's said that of the four faces on the Mount Rushmore of jazz, she's one of them.
Yeah, she was a big star, and so if you don't know who Peggy Lee is, it's worth getting to know her. We only have like 10 seconds, but I want to say, you have a big dinosaur skeleton when you walk in. Just like in 10 seconds, tell me about that.
Gundy the Triceratops is on loan from the State Geological Survey, and it is a product of Valley Citie. It was found by Mike Treble back in about 30 years ago, and his business was finding the real fossils out in the field and bringing them back to Valley Citie and making replicas that were then sold around the world. And so we are happy to have Gundy on display.
And Gundy greets people as they come in. Very impressive. Thank you so much, Wes, for coming out today.
Thank you.
And we'll be right back with Ladies of Another View coming from Valley Citie right after these messages.
My Hometown is presented by Baki Garden Shell. Call us at 701-845-3665 for all your home or business cooling and heating needs. Valley City State University, student-focused, learning-centered.
Hard to imagine this day would come, but you couldn't be more proud of who you're handing the farm to. No matter what the future holds, Ag Country is here to help you plan ahead.
I'm Rick Becker from No Apologies. Welcome to your after-hours oasis of sanity. How can these people not see that they're just clowns?
We help simplify and educate you on things going on in the legislature and around the country.
Asking the hard-hitting questions.
But also having Lee Stack and Sid and Marty Croft stuff, and we've talked about that sometimes. It's bad.
Watch us weeknights at 9 Central on Beck News and online at beck.news.
My Hometown is presented by the Valley City Chamber. Welcome to beautiful Valley City, where natural beauty and historic downtown merge with a vibrant local economy. We invite you to come experience delicious food at many local eateries, a cold beverage at the local brewery, beautiful parks, unique shops, and boutiques, as well as much more. Bucklet Chevrolet Buick GMC in Valley City. Tradition, values, family ties.
If you don't know what's going on in education in this country, then you don't know what's going to happen in the future of this country. And it's important. I'm Dr. Duke.
And I'm Katie.
Watch the Dr. Duke Show weekdays at 4 p.m. Central Time on Beck TV.
My Hometown of Valley City is presented by these fine sponsors: South Central Transit Network, Ellie Boese, Valley City Chamber, and Valley City CVB.
Hello, I'm Mike Lindell, and as you know, my passion is to help each and every one of you get the best sleep of your life. That's why I created my new Giza Dreams bed sheets. The first night you sleep on my sheets, you'll never want to sleep on anything else.
Go to MyPillow.com or call the number on your screen right now to get your very own MyPillow Giza Dream Sheets. When you buy one set of sheets, you'll get another set absolutely free.
For the best night's sleep in the whole wide world, visit MyPillow.com.
My Hometown is presented by Dutton's Parlor, your VC destination for specialty coffee, baked treats, a full lunch menu, ice cream, and gourmet popcorn. Stout Ross Ford of Valley City and Jamestown, your community service dealer, located on 325 Winter Show Road in Valley City. My Hometown of Valley City is presented by these fine sponsors: American by Wyndham, North Dakota Winter Show, Valley City Chiropractors, Enterprise Sales, Cass County Electric Cooperative, CHI Mercy Health.
Welcome back to Ladies of Another View on Beck, and we are joining you from Valley City today for the My Hometown segment, and we are at the Ellie Boese Coffee Shop. Right now I have with me Ellie Boese, who is she's the editor at the Times Record, correct?
Yes.
And I love your story because she's an English major, but now you're in journalism. How did that come about?
Well, I've always been passionate about creative writing. And when I got to Concordia College, I thought, oh, I'll try a journalist class. And I did. And I didn't like it because I'm kind of introverted, and talking to people is scary, and reporting the news, it takes a very quick finger. And so I decided I'm not going to go into journalism, I don't think. I'm going to focus more on fiction and novel writing and things like that. But then after I graduated, my parents had moved to Jamestown, so I moved back home with them to take a summer off. And this job popped up over here in Valley City, and my mom went to the university here, and she told me about the job, and I applied, and I got it, and here I am.
Here you are in the job that you never thought you would love, but you love it, right?
Yes, I do.
What I love about your story is you have created a position for yourself where you can do your creative writing. Tell me about some of the writing you do.
Well, it took a while to find a groove, and COVID, as it injured a lot of things, it hurt the economy, all that stuff, and also nothing was happening, so there were no events to write about. And so that's when I really got creative with things and started digging into history and kind of bringing my creative writing flair into the newspaper. And we've gotten really good feedback about it, so it's been fun.
You cover mysteries and ghost stories, and people love that.
Yeah.
It's interesting and fun, and you had to do a lot of research. Tell me some of the more interesting stories you've come across.
Well, one that sticks out in my mind is the Wolford case. It was a murder in Valley Citie in 1897, and the museum, actually, I got in contact with Wes at the museum and said, do you have any documents about this? Because I ran across it going through an old newspaper archive. And he had testimony and written notes from the judge at the time from the trial. So that was really fun to get to see that and go through the file like that. And the murder was really never solved because the hired man was tried, but he was found not guilty. And he moved on and he got married and had 7 kids, and the crime just kind of hung there. Nothing really has been resolved.
An unsolved mystery. I
Yeah.
guess it's probably a little late to start digging.
I think so.
Were there any other suspects besides the hired hand?
Well, I had heard through somebody who'd been doing independent research with the case that there was suspicion of the adopted son, Carl, who was living with them and in the house at the time of the shooting. And he actually disappears from the census records with the family, the wife and her 2 daughters, the Wolfers, who were left here. And he never returned to live with them, and he kind of falls off the radar a little bit. So there's some suspicion there, but maybe not.
Do you feel like a little bit of a sleuth, like trying to solve these crimes that you're investigating?
Yes, I like to put on my detective hat and pretend I'm digging through and finding these old cases and finding solutions to them.
Well, tell me about, you had one with the Barnes County Sheriff Department. Is it Ted Headstrom?
Yes.
What about that story?
Ted Headstrom was a young sheriff's deputy. I think it was 1933 when he and the sheriff were kind of staking out a farm place because there had been quite a few robberies in Valley Citie, big scale, like automobiles were going missing and things like that. And they came across this farmstead that was being rented by an unknown party, and there was a bunch of stuff that was out there. And they thought, this is suspicious. We're gonna stake this out and see if we can't find these people. And while on a stakeout, the sheriff decided to go back to town for food and other supplies. So Ted was by himself at age 29, looking for these 2 criminals. A robber gang is what they called them. And the 2 robbers actually returned home as Ted was there by himself, and he got them isolated, and he ended up shooting one of them and killing them, and then he subdued the other one and arrested them. So single-handedly, this 29-year-old,
wow,
whose father was actually a sheriff too. So it's kind of a heroic story.
Yeah, pretty courageous.
Yeah.
Okay, now I know you have another one from 1955, so a little more recent with Eugene Butter, is it, or?
Oh, that was 1915.
1915,
Eugene
okay.
Butler, yes,
Okay.
yes. He came from New York to Niagara around Grand Forks and was a successful farmer, and he lived by himself the whole time. And around 1901, he started to have these psychotic episodes, and neighbors were reporting that he was riding through town and making loud noises and shouting about people that were coming to his house late at night. And he was committed to the Jamestown State Hospital at that time. It was known as an asylum.
Right.
And he died there in 1911. And then 4 years later, somebody was excavating beneath his home, and to their surprise, discovered 6 bodies underneath the house. And Eugene couldn't tell anybody because he was dead, and he had never shown any tendencies, homicidal tendencies before. And so eventually the bones were either a family. There are different reports. They were housekeepers and children. They were all young men who were farmhands. Lots of conflicting reports there. And somehow, after the bones were taken back to the sheriff's department in Grand Forks, they went missing. And the case file is also missing. So we don't know the identity of these people. So
Ellie, I want you to get back with us on that one.
Yeah, I'm still looking.
Some unanswered questions there. I got to find those case files. And then what about Herman Personius? Is that his name?
Personius, yes.
Personius, okay.
He was also a policeman. He was with the city police department. And in 1906, he and other deputies or policemen were pursuing 2 people that had held up a train in Sanborn, which the train had headed this way, and they called the Valley Citie Police Department. Well, I suppose they didn't call them, but sent word that these people were on this train headed to Valley Citie. Could you see if you could apprehend them? And he and a few of the other men went to the yards, and they found one of them and arrested them, and then Pearsonius ran down the length of the train toward where the other man had come from, and one robber hiding shot him right there when he looked in the boxcar, and he remains the only policeman ever killed in the line of duty in Valley Citie. And his murderer was never caught. He was a notorious criminal.
Yeah,
yes.
wow, yeah. And what about, one thing that you've covered is nuclear weapons in North Dakota.
Yes.
Very interesting story, and not everybody knows much about it. What have you learned?
Well, there are 2 things. I for some reason love nuclear information. I just find it very interesting. And so 2 things about North Dakota being very involved in the Cold War, lots of missile silos, things like that. 1, we've had some dangerous things happen because of the nature of the weapons. And 2, it seems like the Minot Air Force Base, which had a lot of missiles around it at that time, also attracted some unsettling, unknown lights in the sky, deactivated some ICBMs at some time, lots of military files that are, they were declassified, so it's interesting to look and see what's so curious about nuclear weapons, you know? And there was a fire also on a B-52 in 1980 in Grand Forks that had a nuclear weapon on board. And not many people knew that until long after. So it could have been very bad.
Yes, this is so interesting. How can people read more? What's the website if they want to sign up for the paper?
Sure, you can check us out at www.times-online.com.
Okay, well, there's a lot more to read, I know. So thanks, Ellie, for joining us today. And we'll be right back with Ladies of Another View on Back with My Hometown from Valley Citie.
My Hometown is presented by Town & Country Club. Best kept secret in North Dakota, 9-hole course with full bar and restaurant. Miller Motors of Valley Citie, your Dodge, Jeep, and Ram truck dealer, located at 1345 Main Street West in Valley Citie.
From hometown cafes and bustling businesses to work-from-home warriors and late-night students, it's Cass County Electric's mission to power the passions and purposes of those in our community. Whether it's keeping checks balanced, laundry clean, shopping lists fulfilled, or dreams pursued, we're there. Cass County Electric, powering your home, business, and beyond.
My Hometown is presented by the Valley Citie CVB. We invite you to Valley Citie, named the most beautiful town in North Dakota and nestled in the Cheyenne River Valley. A historic bridge tour winds around the river showcasing iconic bridges. Stop at the Rosebud Visitor Center on Main Street to gather information and view a one-of-a-kind Superintendent's Rail Car in the North Dakota Agriculture Hall of Fame. Medicine Wheel Park gives you a place to stretch your legs and take a walk through the solar system and a view of Native American solar calendar. Valley Citie is also the gateway to the Cheyenne River Valley National Scenic Byway, an award-winning drive with 40 interpretive sites. Get off the plains and drop into the Cheyenne Valley and experience the beauty of North Dakota. My Hometown is presented by Enterprise Sales of Valley Citie. Enterprise Sales of Valley Citie offers everything under one roof. Brick storage bins, Butler steel buildings, metal roofs for your building or home, custom-built dynamic homes, Honda UTVs, ATVs, dirt bikes, and parts. Go to escnd.com right now and check them out.
Hello, I'm Mike Lindell, and as you know, my passion is to help each and every one of you get the best sleep of your life. That's why I created my new Giza Dreams bed sheets. The first night you sleep on my sheets, you'll never want to sleep on anything else.
Go to MyPillow.com or call the number on your screen right now to get your very own MyPillow Giza Dream Sheets. When you buy one set of sheets, you'll get another set absolutely free.
For the best night's sleep in the whole wide world, visit MyPillow.com.
My Hometown of Valley Citie is presented by these fine sponsors: Boomer's Corner Cake, North Dakota Winter Show, Valley Citie Chiropractors.
Hop in the rig and go down the road with me. We'll cover local and national stories that impact you. Down the Road with Joel Heitkamp weekdays at 5:30 Central on Beck News and online at beck.news.
My Hometown is presented by Bridge City Dentistry, preventative and restorative dentistry for the whole family. Handy Home and Hardware. It's moved to a new building with more parking, larger selection of merchandise. We're open 7 days a week, so stop in just off West Main Street in Valley Citie. My Hometown of Valley Citie is presented by these fine sponsors: Bitts Tire and Service, Miller Motors, Egg Country Farm Credit Services, Bridge City Dentistry, Quality Alignment and Brake Center, Handy Home and Hardware.
Welcome back to Ladies of Another View. I'm back and we're doing the My Hometown segment in Valley Citie from the Alley Bean Coffee Shop. I'm joined right now by George Dutton, who is, you're a little bit of everything. People keep saying, talk to George, he'll know. And most of our photographers on the show for Valley Citie are from George. You have a photography studio and you also have a coffee parlor, right?
Right.
Coffee shop. Tell me about your studio and parlor, because it's in a very interesting building.
Yeah, we're, in 1991, I got the opportunity to move across the street and go into the old Pillar Theater building. Originally it was built in 1925 for silent movies and vaudeville type shows. At the time it was state of the art. One of the daughters went to take lessons on their new Wurlitzer organ. Came back from, I think Chicago is where she went, with the rumored talkies are the up and coming thing. Of course, within 2 years, silent movies were done, but the theater still kept thriving. So it had some changes over the years, but closed down in 1969. That's where it was converted to retail. And like I say, I moved in 1991.
What's so cool is that you've kept some of the original. There is flamingos painted on the wall that go up to first floor, second floor, even into the basement, right? 3 stories.
Yeah, it was a pretty big mural. I guess it was early 50s they decided they had to modernize. So they went from the very traditional look on the walls and painted the flamingo pattern. And I have my one room where I insist I'm going to maintain that segment of the flamingo wall.
So I guess flamingos, are they still in style?
Well, I'm not sure why they wanted flamingos in Valley Citie, North Dakota, but it's pretty cool.
Another cool thing about your building is you have the orchestra pit, because back in the silent movies, why would you need an orchestra pit?
Right. Well, they had to have a place for their Wurlitzer organ, plus, again, it was built also for vaudeville. And so they had some pretty significant shows come along, stage productions. And that's why, orchestra pit, the high fly loft for raising and lowering the sets.
You know the name of so you have both your parlor, and it's open and it goes to your photography studio, right? And
right.
Your gallery. You've probably seen a lot of changes in the world of photography, haven't you?
For sure. Oh, yes. Obviously, I was film days, and in 2003, we decided we had to go digital, so I haven't bought a roll of film since then, but it's been interesting to watch the change, the transition. When I went to photography school, we had to start out on a view camera where you're underneath the cloth and looking through, the 4x5 view camera. So I got to kind of see all styles.
When you started out then, you had negatives, right? Like, what did you have to do to develop film?
Well, part of the reason that I came to Valley Citie, I came to manage a studio, And part of the motivation then was to start a mini lab along with the photography studio. So we had that right along with the business for a number of years. That was our way to process and proof our professional work, plus we would take in photo finishing for the public.
It's interesting that you're not from Valley Citie. Where else have you lived, and why did you end up here?
Yeah, I am actually native North Dakota.
Okay.
But when I was 4 years old, my family moved to kind of central Minnesota, kind of back in the very rural area. And so that's where I graduated high school. Couldn't wait to get to the big city, which was the Twin Cities for me. Lived there for quite a while, met my wife Bonnie there, and just within a week after our wedding, we hopped in the car and went to Santa Barbara, California, where I went to photography school. 2.5 years later, and we missed our seasons. So back to the Twin Cities, and working for a photo lab there, and transferred to Baltimore for 3 years. And then from there, Houston, Texas for 5 years. That's where my wife and I decided two things. We're Midwesterners. We gotta get back up home. And do we really need the big city? And we found Valley Citie, and it's been amazingly good for us.
How did you find Valley Citie? Were you just driving around, or did people say, here's a good city?
At the time, Sherling Photography out of Fargo owned this studio.
Okay.
And they ran an ad in the Minneapolis Tribune, and my mother-in-law found it and sent it to us. And so we answered the ad.
How many years ago was that?
37.
37 years you've been here, and you've seen Valley Citie through the lens of a camera. What kind of changes have you seen?
Oh boy.
I just threw that one at you.
Yeah, that's a tough one. You know, style of photography certainly changes. I'm an old goat, so I still kind of like to make sure we get some of that traditional look, because I think people want to, years from now, see what they look like, not what sort of gimmick they wanted to play. But yeah, there's a lot of change in photography over the years, but basically I've seen it all along. It's a way of telling the story of people and recording their stories. And that's been the beauty of the business, is you get to know families, it's just been good.
You have really had to keep up with the times too, because it's amazing how you have transitioned into the digital age, and you even, I love that you have a old silent movie theater that is your business and your home. I had the privilege of seeing some of the rooms that are so cool. Like, you just redecorated and it's all in one.
Yeah, it's been good. Yeah, we're using all the space in the building. Of course, upstairs, the second floor part makes a fantastic camera room for us, but then what was the original office space up above the main entryway, that's now where my wife and I live. And we actually even converted the fly loft end, put a couple floors in there and made an apartment for our son and his wife.
Oh, it's gorgeous, just like your photography is, as the viewers will notice when they see the pictures that we have, mostly from you. But thank you, George, for coming on today, and we'll be right back after these messages with Ladies of Another View on Back.
My Hometown is presented by Dakota Rose Floral. For all your Valley Citie floral needs, make sure to check out our monthly specials. Quality Alignment and Brake Center, family-owned and operated general repair and heavy-duty truck business serving the VC area since 1999. Town is presented by the Valley Citie Chamber. Welcome to beautiful Valley Citie, where natural beauty and historic downtown merge with a vibrant local economy. We invite you to come experience delicious food at many local eateries, a cold beverage at the local brewery, beautiful parks, unique shops, and boutiques, as well as much more. Pucklet Chevrolet Buick GMC in Valley City. Tradition, values, family ties.
At Beck Communications, we've been planning for your future. Over the past decade, we've placed nearly 200,000 miles of dedicated fiber optics in the ground. Enough fiber optic strands to circle the world 8 times. Taking no shortcuts, we connected every home and business in our service area with dedicated fiber optics. It's your personal, unrestricted, unthrottled connection to the world. Best of all, this dedicated fiber means you do not share your connection. We call this intimate dedicated connection Beck Fiber.
My hometown of Valley City is presented by these fine sponsors. Brothers 3, D&B Portables, Service Master Clean. My hometown is presented by Valley Flooring. We have all your flooring needs covered from end-to-end, home, office, sales, service, and installation. Bitts Tire Service. Bitts Tire and Service, locally owned and operated since 1988. Serving the Valley City community is our honor. My hometown of Valley City is presented by these fine sponsors. Brothers 3, Pucklet Chevrolet, Valley Flooring, D&B Portables, Valley City State University, Thrivent Dakota Prairie Associates.
Welcome back to Ladies of Another View. On back to my hometown in Valley City, and we are at the Ellie Bean Coffee Shop, and we're with the owners of the Ellie Bean Coffee Shop, Carol and Tim Huber. Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you.
Thank you. This is such a cool, I love this coffee shop, and you guys, like, how long have you been here and how did you start it?
It was 3 years, July 2nd. Tim and I were both widowed and met 9 years ago in Christian Mingle. He's South Dakota, I'm North Dakota. He's retired farmer rancher, and I'm a retired special education teacher here from Valley City. And when we met, we just knew that the Lord brought us together for a particular reason. And we love working with young adults, high school and college students. And you know, all the information we read, it's about they develop relationships in a coffee shop setting. So we started looking for a place in Valley City, found this place, and got to work.
How beautiful. So it was really about you wanting to minister and bring people together, and the coffee shop was a good place to do it. But you must have learned a little thing or two about coffee, right? Who's the expert?
We knew nothing.
I didn't drink coffee before I got here. Yeah. So that was brand new for me. I was all about raising soybeans, not coffee beans. So it was kind of fun to get started, and I didn't think I could drink coffee without chocolate. That was the only way I would ever drink coffee, is in a mocha. But then starting to get to know some of the other coffees and just how good, like a Colombia coffee or a Papua New Guinea coffee can be just all by itself, really surprised me.
Do you import a lot of your coffee then?
All our coffee is imported. We go through cafe imports in the Twin Cities, and it comes from all over the world. So whichever coffee is seasonal, we'll try it. I think we've tried about 10 different coffees at this point, and have made them kind of standards here that you can try. Some of them are light roasts and some are dark roasts.
I've heard of wine tasting. Do you have coffee tasting where you have to go and sample and decide?
Not yet, but we have employees that are very interested in having coffee classes this fall. So
Okay.
that will be so much fun. You know, we're older, you know, we're getting in this. But the young help that we have, they are so into coffee and everything about coffee. So they're always feeding us new ideas and, oh, we should have this or we should do this. And okay. So,
Yeah, just like we were talking about photography changing, coffee has changed.
Oh my.
When we were kids, you just got a cup of coffee. You might put cream in it. You know, that was about it, cream and sugar.
Yeah.
But it's a whole different world now. Different flavors.
When they come in for black coffee, we're looking at them. Do you want light, medium, dark roast? Do you want decaf? You know, so it's a lot of fun.
Well, how have you learned about coffee? How did you have to go about it from soybeans to coffee?
When we first started the shop, we had to have someone else roast for us, so we used a Dutton Brothers shop in Fargo to do our roasting. And they were very helpful in helping us choose which coffees we wanted to serve here. And learned a lot through them, and then they decided to get out of business, and I asked whether we could buy their roaster. So then we got involved in kind of studying with them, understudying under them for a little bit, and that was very helpful. So I didn't have to learn from scratch. I was handed down some information.
And what does a roaster do? Because I know you sent me a video of the roaster. What is it and what does it do?
It's about a 15-minute process where you take the raw coffee bean and roast it into a coffee, a roasted coffee, which you would buy at the store. Now, you may buy it ground, but we roast it into the whole bean, and then if someone wants to purchase ground coffee, they can purchase it ground as well.
Okay, I'm going to throw this question at you. You didn't know I was going to ask. Is caffeine good or bad for you? It's got to be good for you, right?
It's so good for you.
Yeah.
I think in moderation, caffeine is just fine. In fact, one of the drinks that we promote here as being a healthy, kind of the athlete's drink, would be a nitro coffee, which is a cold brew infused with nitrogen gas. And all it does really is fool the taste buds into thinking it's sweeter than it is. So someone who doesn't want all the sugars can still get that smooth, sweet flavor from a cold brew coffee, which can tend to be a little bit on the bitter side just by itself if you're not used to it and accustomed to it.
I think it's safe to say you're a coffee lover now, right?
I like my coffee. I like the light roast coffee, yes. And I don't generally put anything in my coffee. It's generally the coffee farmers across the world. In fact, even in the 3 years we've been in business, they've gotten better and better at producing coffee, and a lot of it is how they harvest it. They pick only the ripe cherries. So if they go back to the tree several times during the harvest process, they harvest a better coffee. It makes a better coffee. So they're learning how to do that, and it's done with very small farms in most cases.
And
high elevation.
Okay, and so it really is important when you harvest the coffee.
Right. Now, I've never visited a coffee plantation. Someday maybe we will, but with COVID, that's not an option right now for us anyway, to look to fly across seas to visit.
How has it worked out? You had the idea to do some kind of ministry, youth ministry, and you wanted to do it at a coffee shop. Has that worked out for you? We just have about a minute.
It has. We see a lot of study groups coming in, whether it's a Bible study or a one-on-one where people are mentoring. We have a lot of that happening here. And also look to use it as meeting these young people.
Speaking of meeting, didn't you have two people that met here and they became engaged?
3 different couples.
3 couples have met and become engaged. So forget, come
It's
to
great.
the coffee shop, and that is such a beautiful story. 3 couples. Well, thank you, Carol and Tim. It's been fun visiting with you. And we're going to be right back with Ladies of Another View on Beck, the My Hometown from Valley Citie.
My Hometown is presented by American Inn by Wyndham. Relax and enjoy free Wi-Fi, swimming pool, hot breakfast, and a patio fire pit. Call them at 701-845-5551. Ellie Boese Coffee, where you can walk in or drive up as a stranger and leave as a friend.
Hi, Hunter Ellis here for Night Hero Binoculars by Atomic Beam. These binoculars let you see anything, even in pitch black darkness. Gotcha. The secrets are powerful wide-angle atomic beam laser that reveals objects up to 150 yards away, hidden by darkness. During the day, Night Hero gives you 10 times magnification. And when the sun goes down, press the Night Bright button to see clearly in the dark. Light up garbage-eating critters or spot thieves before they even get close. Call or click now and get Night Hero binoculars for just $39.99. Order right now and you can double it. Plus, get our best-selling atomic beam flashlight, just pay a separate fee. We'll even ship them to you free. This TV special offer is not available on Amazon. You can get it all, but you have to order now.
Call 1-800-619-1091. That's 1-800-619-1091. Or visit bynighthero.com. That's bynighthero.com. Order now.
My Hometown is presented by the Valley Citie CVB. We invite you to Valley Citie, named the most beautiful town in North Dakota and nestled in the Cheyenne River Valley. A historic bridge tour winds around the river showcasing iconic bridges. Stop at the Rosebud Visitor Center on Main Street to gather information and view a one-of-a-kind Superintendent's Rail Car in the North Dakota Agriculture Hall of Fame. Medicine Wheel Park gives you a place to stretch your legs and take a walk through the solar system and a view of Native American solar calendar. Valley Citie is also the gateway to the Cheyenne River Valley National Scenic Byway, an award-winning drive with 40 interpretive sites. Get off the plains and drop into the Cheyenne Valley and experience the beauty of North Dakota. Hometown is presented by Thrivent Dakota Prairie Associates. Thrivent is proud to support My Hometown's goals, and Dakota Prairie Associates is excited to help you achieve yours. Let's create a financial strategy that reflects your priorities and protects what matters most to you. Call us at 701-845-2894 or find us on Facebook. Bongs. See Bongs at 241 Central Avenue North in beautiful downtown Valley Citie. For all your footwear needs, Merrill, Bourne, Brooks, and many more, all available at Bongs. My Hometown of Valley Citie is presented by these fine sponsors: Service Master Clean, Bongs, South Central Transit Network, Ellie Boese, Valley Citie Chamber, and Valley Citie CVB.
Welcome back to Ladies of Another View on Beck. We're coming to you for the My Hometown series from Valley Citie. And I'm joined right now with Jon Wagar.
Hi, Patty.
Hey, thanks for joining us.
Thank you for asking me.
Well, you love Valley Citie, so I know you have a lot of good things to say. Are you originally from Valley Citie?
I was born in Valley Citie in 1955 at Mercy Hospital.
And you are a regional sales manager, almost ready to retire, right?
I am. I spent most of the last 40 years selling building materials, primarily at the wholesale level. I drove North and South Dakota for years, selling lumber to lumber yards. Kind of semi-retired back in 2012, and kind of freelanced buying and selling antiques and collectibles and that sort of thing for about 5 years, and then my wife and I decided to build a new home. And we are frugal people. I don't like to spend money on things I don't get to keep. So we were looking to build a super energy efficient home, and we ended up building with a product called a structural insulated panel made by Intercept in Watertown, South Dakota. And it also made it possible for me with minimal construction skills to be able to build my own home. So we bought a package from them and built a house, and it turned out very well. And in the course of the the construction of our house, got to know the people at Intercept pretty well. And in a moment of weakness, the president of the company offered me a job one day, and I took it. And so I've been there now 7.5 years, working North Dakota, part of Montana, and Arizona. So I've been traveling a lot for the last 7.5 years. And my wife reminded me recently that I've got about 66 years worth of unfinished projects. So I'm going to stop working for the man and go to work for my wife.
Well, that's quite a project to start with, though, a home building kit.
Yes.
Yeah, I didn't even know they had those, but yeah.
Talk to me, but do it soon.
Okay, before you retire, yeah, a few more days to go here. Since you travel around a bit, how do you feel that Valley City compares with other states and other areas?
Oh my. Well, you know, a few years ago I was asked to speak at an all-70s class reunion, and I talked about Valley City. I'd had an experience where somebody I hadn't seen, it's a guy I went to high school with, I hadn't seen him for 30 years, and he had found me on the internet, sent me an email, and he started to ask me questions about Main Street in Valley City. And so it ended up with me doing this walk down Central Avenue over a period of days by email. He's asking me, is George Fogarty still at the hardware store? Well, George Fogarty died 30 years ago, but he remembered Fogarty's Ace Hardware. And so we did this conversation over a period of time. And when I was asked to speak at this reunion, it took me a while to figure it out, and all of a sudden I thought, I'll just tell that story. And one of the things that I concluded in the process of putting that together was that I think most people really are most comfortable where they were born and raised. I always tell people I've got a taproot a mile long. I've tried living other places and I just don't fit. Always came back to Valley City. I went in the Army for a couple of years, came home, went to Valley City State, left, went to Bismarck to chase a bigger, better paying job. Stayed there 3 years, came home, ended up in a lumber distribution company, went over and opened a branch in Wisconsin, was there for 1.5 years and came home. And so finally in 1990, I moved back here for the last time. I've been here ever since. But there's just something I think comforting about living where you were raised, and especially in a small town like Valley City where you can literally know everybody. You know, after 66 years here, there's not very many people that I don't know in town. So
And
I
you are
didn't answer your question, did I?
Well, you did. You gave us lots of good information about why you are here in Valley City. And you were a city commissioner for 8 years, is it?
I was. In fact, I had the opportunity to work with George when we were both on the city commission for a period of time. I did that for 8 years. You know, like so many people in politics, I was mad about something and ran and managed to get elected, and then discovered that I really liked the work. Being a city commissioner is the most educational thing I think I've ever done.
What did you learn?
Oh my gosh. I learned that you never commit to anything until you've heard both sides of the argument. I learned that, I think, the first meeting. And then that there's just so much to know. That city streets and curbs and gutters and electric utilities and sewer and water are all mechanical systems. And now that we've built them, we have to maintain them. That takes money and that takes effort, and it has to be done. And so, you know, I learned that you can think outside of the box a bit and maybe find alternative ways to doing things. Gosh, I learned that something that might just be absolutely perfect to you is just horrific to somebody else. That you may think it's the greatest thing in the world and they'll hate you for it. And so I learned very early on that you get both sides of the story. You make a decision, you vote your conscience, and then you just stand ready to defend your vote and what you did. And probably the other thing would be just to stand up and admit it if you made a mistake. Stop defending it and don't do it again.
It seems like good rules for life, whether you're a city commissioner or just...
Getting kind of old, and with that comes a little bit of wisdom, I hope.
I know that you love Valley City and you participate in a lot of events, and one of them is it the Rally in the Valley?
The Rally in the Valley, sure. The middle of June every year, there's about a 3-day weekend extravaganza where the whole town kind of shuts down for a huge car show. The Valley City Car Club does a phenomenal job of bringing collector cars and show cars from all over the region. So we have a big parade, a car show, there's food vendors, other vendors, events in the park. They have a duck race down the Cheyenne with a bunch of rubber ducks. It's a little raffle kind of a thing. It's great fun.
Yeah, that's one thing I like about Valley Citie is there's so many different events going on.
Well, we've got a
we have
pretty active group over at the Rosebud Visitor Center and in the downtown community that try to make it fun to shop in Valley Citie, because we don't have the big box stores, we don't have the big retailers. We've got a lot of really cool little specialty shops. We've got 2 world-class coffee shops, got a couple others that are drive-ups. There's never a shortage of things to do. It always irritated me when I was a commissioner and somebody would say, well, there's nothing to do in Valley Citie. So for heaven's sakes, you can buy a $100 canoe and entertain yourself for months going up and down the river.
And you kayak, right?
A little bit, not
A
much.
little bit? Okay,
Yeah.
well, I saw a picture of you
Yeah,
kayaking. So.
I have been known to kayak a bit. And honestly, one of my favorite things to do, and I don't get to do it as often as I used to, is to put a canoe in the river up at Lake Ashtabula. It's about 10 miles north of town. And then just float to Valley Citie. I have never done that, but what I've seen, more wildlife than I knew existed.
Yeah.
You'll see great blue herons and bald eagles, and I had a white-tailed deer swim across the river in front of me one day.
Wow.
Turtles, it's incredible.
And you get to go on the
Beautiful.
bridges, so yeah,
And the
it
bridges,
is. Thank you, John. I appreciate your time here, and we'll be, see you next time with Ladies of Another View on Back, and this is my hometown from Valley Citie.
Hometown is presented by Enterprise Sales of Valley Citie. Enterprise Sales of Valley Citie offers everything under one roof. Brick storage bins, Butler steel buildings, metal roofs for your building or home, custom-built dynamic homes, Honda UTVs, ATVs, dirt bikes, and parts. Go to escnd.com right now and check them out.
Hop in the rig and go down the road with me. We'll cover local and national stories that impact you. Down the Road with Joel Heitkamp weekdays at 5:30 Central on Beck News and online at beck.news.
My Hometown is presented by the Valley Citie CVB. We invite you to Valley Citie, named the most beautiful town in North Dakota and nestled in the Cheyenne River Valley. A historic bridge tour winds around the river showcasing iconic bridges. Stop at the Rosebud Visitor Center on Main Street to gather information and view a one-of-a-kind Superintendent's Rail Car in the North Dakota Agriculture Hall of Fame. Medicine Wheel Park gives you a place to stretch your legs and take a walk through the solar system and a view of Native American solar calendar. Valley Citie is also the gateway to the Cheyenne River Valley National Scenic Byway, an award-winning drive with 40 interpretive sites. Get off the plains and drop into the Cheyenne Valley and experience the beauty of North Dakota.
The experienced professionals at Superior Glass provide residential and commercial glass installation and repair services in central and western North Dakota. Superior Glass is your source for stained glass projects, mirrors, windows, touchless, and automated entry solutions. Stop by and see us at 3323 East Broadway in Bismarck or call us at 701-258-5600. Superior Glass, where you get superior service for less. Bye for now.
My Hometown is presented by the Valley Citie Chamber. Welcome to beautiful Valley Citie, where natural beauty and historic downtown merge with a vibrant local economy. We invite you to come experience delicious food at many local eateries, a cold beverage at the local brewery, beautiful parks, unique shops, and boutiques, as well as much more. Bucklet Chevrolet. Bucklet Chevrolet Buick GMC in Valley Citie. Tradition, values, family ties.